Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of I Don't Know, with your hosts, myself, Jackie, and
Sana.
Welcome back, gang. We have a guest with us today. A return guest. And no, it's not Samir.
No, Samir is, we're going to get it back on. Caesar just mentioned getting Samir back on, and maybe we will.
Yeah, I feel like that would be fun.
Yeah, let's just see his life updates a year later.
Yeah, if he still holds the same. We're talking too much about him for him not being here.
Yeah, you know what? We'll figure that out. But we have friend of the pod, Urooj, back in action.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Yes. Also my building mate. So not roommate, building mate.
Yes.
We only live 5 floors away from each other.
5 floors away from each other.
Used to be like 50 minutes.
It's a beautiful relationship now.
Arrangement.
We walk to the wine bars together.
Very close distance.
You know, she's not anything. Come down. All right.
This is Sana's goal is to get everyone she knows into the same building.
It is my goal. Like friends. Like I want that.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's so cute.
I know. I love that.
Like a little community.
It's a little community. It's like, hey, like I don't even have to leave. We went to a community event this weekend. We'll get into our weekends, but we see each other all the time now.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
I know. I sent Sana a TikTok of when you live in the same building as your friend.
I sent you that one.
They communicate
the walkie-talkie.
Or it's like
the walkie-talkie.
I hope she doesn't see me today because I look homeless.
I don't care about that.
God, you
I don't care about that because I'm always looking homeless in the building.
Homeless.
I'm always looking homeless. You know that for a fact.
Yeah. No,
I'm walking around in my PJs
100%.
getting my packages.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, you see me, you see me.
Urooj doesn't have like eyeliner on, and she's like, I look homeless. You guys.
No, that
don't
is
look
so
at me.
true.
No, literally, you guys were like, are you getting ready? So I got ready before my last meeting so I could make it here. And they're probably like, why does she have makeup on for the first time? Why does she look so different? Why does she look alive?
This is what people say to me at work. Like, if I have to like prep myself before because I'm gonna have to leave right at 5 or something, they're always like, "You look nice," and I'm like, "I know. I'm so sorry, guys. Like, this is you don't get the
I tried today.
Yeah, I tried today.
Yeah, it happens.
I got it together.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to sit there. Anybody who works from home understands how difficult it is to get yourself and put yourself together when you're just sitting there on a Zoom call.
Why would you?
And also,
you don't
Zoom
care.
has filters.
Yeah, true. True.
It has a beauty filter.
So does Teams now.
Oh, does it?
Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah, see, we use Google and Google doesn't. Google does you dirty, but whatever. It's fine. But all right, so let's get into our weekend so we can get into our topic. Urooj, guess first. What did you get up to this weekend?
So Friday night, Sana hit me up and she was just like, get off your couch. Let's go explore Long Beach.
We did do that.
So we went out, I think, on 2nd Street.
No, we went out to downtown.
Yeah.
We were downtown.
Yeah, we were downtown
the whole time.
first.
And then we went to 2nd, you're right. And then we went to 2nd, you're right. We started in downtown.
We ended up there at some point, met up with another friend.
We've made some Long Beach friends.
Made some friends.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
We've made some Long Beach friends.
Look at you guys.
Yes.
They're pretty cool people.
A mixture of males, a mixture of females. We got a whole shebang going on.
They all love to dance.
Yeah.
That was Friday night. Saturday I belly danced. And then
You did?
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then we went to the community event. We went to a sound bath.
Yeah, we went to a sound bath. And that was my first time. Have you been to one before?
No, I have not been to one before. And as I told Jackie, I don't think they're for me. I mean, I got a gorgeous snap. But it's not for me.
It was on your guys' rooftop.
It was on our, it was on the rooftop.
Isn't the whole point to like cleanse your
But
thoughts?
I'm someone, my mind is always racing.
Mine too.
I can never just keep it still and just like it's always like, look, I'll be thinking they're sitting there like, so what am I going to eat later? Or like, what should I wear? Or like, what happened last week? Or why did she say that? Or my mind is always something that I can't just keep it at rest. So like, it doesn't work for me because that whole time I was laying there before I fell asleep, it was like, thought after thought.
Yeah, no, same.
Let's be real. I went for the food and the views.
You did.
You know what? That's fair.
And I was like a little bit of nap time.
They had like fresh smoothies. There was like a guy blending up smoothies. There was food. Like, you know, it's a nice building. So the
amenities are top notch. They're high class.
They had some
we
sliders.
did see a zaddy. I've been training her well because I was like, she'll see someone. I was like, always look at the ring. Always look at the ring.
And
now she looks. I was like, he has a girl. He's married.
Always look at the ring. Always look at the ring.
Or it could be a husband.
Okay, that too. I mean,
I was like, what are you saying? Either way, he's not available for us. But there was a zaddy that both of us were like,
Aruja here on the side of social justice. Either way, they're partnered up.
So, I don't know, that zaddy, we were both like,
Hey,
do you want to take that ring off?
Oh my God.
Just kidding. Jokes, please. It was very big. We didn't even speak to him, obviously.
Yeah. What? No, we get that.
Yeah, why would we?
Yeah, there's a very big age differential in our building. It's like young people, working professionals.
Yes.
Older.
Yeah. And then there's some Indian fobs.
Oh yeah, there was a crew
of Indian fobs. Yeah. Like I'm not even being like a hater, but I was like, should we befriend the fobs?
Yeah,
and she's like, no.
I was like, I'm too tired for this. Like the minute that accent comes out, I'm gonna be like, I gotta go.
I thought it'd be a nice idea to befriend the fobs. Imagine the dinner parties at their houses. Yeah. You know, we could.
Yeah, very true.
That's true.
You know? I was trying to befriend the fobs. She was not down, so I was like, all right, well.
Well, you know, whatever. Sounds like a fun time though.
It was fun. Good. And then
Sunday, I met up with one of my friends for brunch.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the evening, I went out somewhere else to Laguna, actually. I ended up in Laguna.
Nice.
So that was nice. It was a chill weekend. Very chill weekend.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very chill. What about you, Sans?
Well, you already know what I did on Friday.
Yeah.
You already know what I did on Saturday during the day. And then Saturday night, I hung out with Aisha in Santa Monica and also my mans that's not my mans.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we call it. My mans that's not my mans.
Yeah.
So we hung out. We all hung out as a collective. And then Sunday, I had dinner with my dad.
Yeah.
Wholesome. And then yesterday, I also hung out with my mans that's not my mans. So it's been chill, wholesome, you know?
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Jack?
No, I did nothing. Yeah, I can't even tell you what I did. Friday is a blank. Saturday is a blank. Sunday went to church. And it's a blank. So
you know what? You need those sometimes. You need those resetters.
Blank.
Yeah,
blank,
I honestly
blank.
couldn't even tell you. There was probably nothing there was nothing exciting about it.
I think I need a blank weekend this week.
Yeah, I think I did laundry and just, you know, all that good stuff. So I tried the cookie at the Costco food court. That was
fun.
a highlight.
Was it good?
It was delicious.
Was it actually
Great.
did it live up to the hype?
I think so. I think it's a good cookie. Well, also in the grand scheme of things, when you're looking at Crumble, charging, you know, $5 for a cookie.
I mean, it is a giant ass cookie though.
It is, but so is Costco's. And it's half the price. So, but it's also different types of cookie. But anyway.
A win is a win.
Yeah, a win is a win. So that was probably the highlight of my weekend.
I love that for us.
Yeah. Self-care in there.
Yeah, no, it was a great time. All right. So let's get into today's topic, which was inspired by Urooj. Which is why we allowed her on the pod.
Yeah.
Get on the pod. No, so we're talking about attachment styles today. And I feel like everyone knows. If you're on the TikTok, if you're on the Instagrams, you know, if you're on the intranet, you know that.
It's heavily discussed.
Yeah, heavily talked about. But it's also talked about so much because of dating and how this shows up within kind of the dating world. So if you're not familiar, though, for those of you that are not familiar with what attachment styles are, basically attachment styles or attachment theory tells us that the emotional attachments we form with our primary caregivers in infancy can influence our interpersonal relationships later in life, which is fascinating to me, which I'm learning. I don't know about you guys. I don't know how you feel if you've recognized your attachment theory or recognized how your adolescence or childhood.
I don't think I've impacted. Created the connection, but I know my style.
Yeah. What about you, Urooj?
I think it's very situational. It's kind of like the person I'm seeing or the person I'm with brings out that style. And
I agree.
If they bring out the wrong style in me, I can't. You know, it's like your nervous system tells you, be with this person or don't be around this person, you know?
Mm-hmm. So I agree. I think certain people bring out
different styles. Yeah.
Yes.
And I've had experience with all three styles being brought out of me, right? And I don't like myself unless I'm in the secure attachment style.
Yeah.
It's just, it throws you off balance.
I think that was a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Certain partners do bring out certain sides.
I think probably the therapeutic term for it would be triggers. It triggers you in different ways, right? It can trigger your anxiety. It can trigger your avoidant. It can trigger you're fearful, or it can trigger like you're secure, right? Just depending on how you are functioning. But I think it's fascinating though, how our adolescence plays a role in this, which I feel like I'm fully understanding and learning going through therapy. Have you done therapy, Urooj?
I have.
Therapy? Okay. And Sana's the only one here. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean...
you know what? Sana gets therapy in the form of like, I think like me and Bianca.
I don't need it. You know what I mean? It's fine. We're good.
We're good. But it when I think when you do go through therapy and you start recognizing like, oh shit, like the subconscious. Because as I was like reading, not a ton of literature on this, but as I've been reading and as I've like learned about it, it talks about how you're just basically like the way, so like, what is it? Subconsciously, we want our partners to take care of us the way our parents did. Like, it's very interesting. But what happens is that if you didn't get the secure attachment growing up, that's what you're searching for. But you then get triggered, as you said, like, and that's what pulls you out of it. So one of the importance of understanding is because it determines so much of how we relate to the world. And this was interesting because it's not even just like romantic relationships. It's friendships, how you function at work, which I don't know about you, Urooj, but like if someone, like if your boss sits there and says like, hey, do you have a second to chat? Like, what's your immediate thought?
I'm just like, sure. Like, what can it possibly be?
Do you get like anxious about it though? Really,
I used to. I used to, and I think you get to a certain level of comfortability that you're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Just another day, you know?
Yeah. No, I feel like whenever I would have, or if someone sits there and is like
I need to talk, that thing.
Yeah, like, can we talk? And you're like, yeah, sure. Like, and then someone's like, oh, I'll have to call you later. And you're like, no, for me, very anxious. Because my mind immediately goes to though, like, because I did something.
I only get anxious if I know I did something.
Yeah.
So like if I know I fucked up in work, then I'm like, they caught on.
This is coming.
Yeah. But if I don't feel, I'm with you. Unless
like guilty conscience.
If I know I didn't do anything, I'm like, well, what do you want to talk about, dude?
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think mine comes from growing up. My dad would say something, I forget what he would say. And he was playing a joke, but like come to find out that it actually really stuck and like really impacted me in the wrong way. And he would sit there and say, I forget what he would ask us. And we would say like, I don't know, I forget. We would basically get nervous and he would ask us like, why did you do something? And you're like, you're racking your brain. And like, as a kid, that's a really fucked up way to like joke with your kid, because I think as a kid, like you don't recognize, like you can't like separate it out. So
or
now,
you go to timeout, right? You get punished.
Yeah. And so then you're racking your brain of like, did I do something wrong? Because like as you grow up, you're always doing something wrong. Like there's always something
for sure,
you know, that like they're parenting you about. So yeah, come to think of it, that was a pretty fucked up way to joke with me, because it's stuck. But it talks about how it even can determine what type of problems, quote unquote, that you're going to have within friendships or at work. And basically it relates to a concept which psychologists term object relations, which is really how we perceive other people in our lives, which is interesting, which I feel like kind of goes back to you about like being triggered or it being pulled. Or pulled out of you, I guess.
Basically. Or if like someone's projecting.
Yes.
You end up projecting the same back.
Yeah.
Because it's like you kind of bounce off the energy you're receiving, right? So I think it's just that if it's initiated, then you're conditioned to like respond in that way too. So
no, that's very true. Yeah. Like I feel like my therapist has said that, like you're neurologically primed to respond in a specific way. Like it's really kind of crazy. Like I don't know, you're just like, you're actually wired because you've wired like neurologically, like, oh, this is just what I do because you're just so used to it.
And people can switch up, you know, it's situational.
Oh yeah.
They can go from being avoidant to like 6 months in, you know, something triggers them to become anxious.
I think we should talk about the 4 styles though. You haven't mentioned them.
Yeah, I was going to say, so the 4 styles of attachment, Secure attachment, which obviously speaks for itself. Like, if you grew up in a happy home and you felt heard and loved, you're going to be secure, which doesn't really show up in a lot of people. And then there's anxious, preoccupied. There's a lot of, like, everyone kind of has different names, and they all kind of have, but like they all pretty much mean the same thing. So secure attachment, anxious, preoccupied attachment, dismissive, avoidant attachment, and then fearful, avoidant attachment. Do you feel like you know which ones you are? I mean, I'm for sure anxiety. I'm anxious.
You know what's funny is I was having this conversation with somebody recently because I was telling them about a book I was reading. It's called Attached. And they asked me what my style is. And I was like, I'm secure. But once you piss me off, I'm a little hint of avoidant. And then if I'm needy, like if I'm feeling needy, then I'm a hint of anxious.
I have a question for you though. Do you feel though like those are like attachment styles, or do you just feel like that's just kind of the natural progression? That's just character.
So you kind of cross into them, but there are strict boundaries. Like, you know, when you're fully an anxious person, or like depending on the relationship that you're in,
right?
How you act in certain situations. Like, you just know.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times people do use this as like, they can kind of maybe use it as a cop out, or be like, oh, well, that's my anxiety. It's like, no, like, I think you just
manipulation.
Yeah, totally. What about you, Sana?
I think I definitely would lean more to anxious and secure. Teeter-totter between. I'm not that avoidant.
Yeah.
You're
not avoidant.
I'm not avoidant. I'm quite the opposite of avoidant.
Get closer to me.
Literally. Quite the opposite. Yes. But I agree. I think I'm more anxious in the beginning phases. I'm not an anxious partner when we're like dating, like in a relationship. But when it's that, like, you know, beginning, figuring it out.
So once you get past, once I get the security, then I'm a secure attachment.
Yeah.
But pre-security, I'm an anxious.
Right. But I feel like that's, again, I wonder if that's just kind of normal.
Yeah, because
right, because you never fully understand.
But I don't think
you are.
Everybody feels that way. Like, there are people that are just like, don't care.
I would love to know if somebody is just like walking around like,
or if they just say that,
like free balling life, like that. They're like, I'm not anxious at all. You're like, how are you so secure? Yeah, or maybe they're just saying that. They're just like, oh, it's fine.
But I do think so. Like, some men don't think about the way we think about things. Like,
right.
Us not responding to them isn't going to give the same reaction as them not responding to us.
Yeah.
True.
I love that whenever they don't respond to us for 6 hours, and like that meme that's like, I'm going to hold off for 20 minutes. That'll show them.
Yeah, literally. But it's even like we talked about in the previous episodes, when they don't respond to us, we make a whole life joke about how they fall in love with somebody else.
Yes.
They've moved on from us. Like, this whole story.
They're just moving to another state.
Yes. Yeah. As making a joke, but inside we're like crying.
Yeah.
But
no, it's true. Well, and it's part of because you're trying to find some sort of truth. You're trying to find an explanation as to why you wouldn't. And then, of course, the explanation goes to like, he's talking to some other bitch.
I could argue that I don't think men feel the same anxious level we do in the same way.
Yeah. In
that arena.
No, totally. In reading this, I think they said in a study conducted in 2018, more women were anxious and more men were avoidant.
I believe that 100%. And I was just going to say that if we're talking about today's dating age, that's what we're facing is attached and then avoidant.
Yeah,
or
anxious,
attached, and avoidant.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because it, again, going back to childhood, which this really speaks to how boys are raised, which is why I think it is so powerful that whenever, like my friend Ray says she has 3 boys, that she acknowledges, like both her and Jeff, her husband, they acknowledge their boys' emotions, and they sit there and they say like, it's okay to be angry, or like, it's okay to be like upset. Like, yeah, like that didn't feel good, did it? Like, they allow them to express themselves because what psychologists say that in childhood, like how it develops the avoidant attachment style is, you may have had strict or emotionally distant and absent caregivers. So part of it could be your caregivers left you to fend for yourself, expected you to be independent, reprimanded you for depending on them, rejecting you when you were expressing needs or emotions, which I think is huge with men, especially when they're little with their boys. I think a lot of times and this bothers me, this frosts my cookie, is when you hear them say like, boys don't cry. Like, oh my God, you are setting them up for failure. Like, you don't know it now. Like, I feel like telling that parent, you don't know that now, but you're creating a fuckboy later. Like, I hope you understand this. And then caregiver's been slow to respond to your basic needs. So I think also just the like expecting you to be independent. Like, how many times are boys told like, be a man, like be a man. So that's like not showing emotion. That's doing it on your own. That's like getting out there and having grit. And like you figured it out and you went for it. Like when they're still kids, you know, or they're still adolescents, like they still need help and guidance. But just because they're a boy, they're being told like, you need to be a man. And this is what a man does. Which would make perfect sense of why most men are avoidant.
Yeah, but a lot of them suppress those emotions and then they later on come out as anger.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, for sure. And they were saying like they learn to, like children that kind of deal with this, like they learn to adopt a strong sense of independence so they don't have to rely on anyone else for care or support. Which makes me like, you know, I don't know. To me, that all makes sense. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if that like makes sense in your heads, but I feel like it does. Like just within the dating world and seeing men, like we figured it out. We broke it down.
I mean, the last one I was seeing wasn't avoidant, so it clearly showed.
Well, and like not to like put Gomer on blast, but like
we call him Gomer.
What is that?
We just made up a name.
We made up a name, and
because we're not going to give his real identity.
Yeah,
if you know, you know, and if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah,
you know, that's how it is. We'll leave it at that.
But in his childhood, like this made sense. Like this was 100%. Like probably being slow to respond to your basic needs, expected you to be independent, left you to fend for yourself. Like I don't know. Like do you feel like that kind of matches? Like it makes sense then? What contributed to it?
Yeah, I think a lot of,
I feel like it's just like, I don't know. You start looking at it.
I think it definitely stems from childhood for sure.
Yeah. But that's what's fascinating to me is like how the subconscious, right? Like, or
you
like
get conditioned
yes
to what you're like seeing and experiencing and feeling. And then you take it all in, right? Because you're a sponge at that age.
Yes.
And like now we can just like brush things off.
Totally.
And, you know, because
very
we've been
different.
through the experiences. And we know the outcomes can be good or bad.
No,
So
totally.
it's just like a learning experience.
Yeah,
Crazy.
It's a learning curve for sure. The anxious attachment style, this is me, is usually characterized by fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, depending on a partner for validation and emotional regulation, and codependent tendencies. I don't know if I have codependent tendencies, but everything else is 100% there. Which makes sense because you might have grown up with parents that alternated between being overly coddling and then detached or indifferent. And that is 100% my childhood. Like 100%. I have talked about that at length in therapy about how there was times when like, specifically with my dad, like you were at the top of the world, like you were the golden child, and then you did something and it was just like, you're so stupid. And it was this constant like highs and lows.
I don't think I was ever the golden child, so I didn't experience that.
Well, it's not necessarily being the golden child, but there's times like, and I don't know if this happened in either one of your childhoods, but when you were being praised and it was like, yes, like, oh my gosh, so great. And then you messed up and then all of a sudden you like,
all of that goes away.
All that goes away. And then all they're talking about is your mistake and what you did wrong. And
I think a lot of parents do that.
Yeah. Which like I get, like I understand, but it's just kind of like
they think that's a way of learning. That you don't repeat it.
Yeah. They think like if I shame you enough.
Yeah.
You know, the how dare you and let me focus on this.
Or look at their daughter.
Oh God, the comparison.
So
that
in our culture,
kill me inside.
that is big. The comparing
especially
to like
when it's like a cousin
or other family friends' kids.
Yeah, that's worse.
Yeah.
No, that's. I feel like to be honest. I think that's probably more prevalent in like ethnic families, but I think that is 100% across the board always happens.
Yeah, or it's
like no matter who you are.
Or in like grade school, it's like that. There is always a golden child, like the popular girl, right? And it's just like, oh, why can't you have straight A's like Karen or Susan?
Yeah.
And it's just like...
And then I love that because now Susan's like a
now Karen is a Karen.
Well, Susan also fell for a multi-level marketing scheme.
Yeah, or literally the ones that were golden child are literally. So it's like...
And Karen is at Walmart.
Which kid would you prefer now?
Yeah. Which one now? Who's the winner now? But no, it's but that's a big one too. Yeah, being compared to your siblings, which is terrible and that's awful.
Yeah, because then you're living in a shadow.
Yes.
And you just always will feel like you're not good enough or
constantly.
Yeah.
And again,
I know a lot of people that experience that.
Yeah. Those like high highs and then those low lows types of thing. So this 100% makes sense to me. And then signs are like clingy tendencies, like in relationships, clingy tendencies, highly sensitive to criticism, real or perceived, needing approval from others, jealous tendencies, difficulty being alone, low self-esteem, feeling unworthy of love, intense fear of rejection, significant fear of abandonment, difficulty trusting others. D, all the above. That is 100% me. And you had said something earlier, though, when we were kind of talking offline about this, that like you feel like back when you were early signs of or stages of dating, you were very much more anxious.
I would say I was more anxious, but that's because I wasn't comfortable in my skin. Like I was still figuring myself out. I wasn't, I was insecure. There were all of those factors to it. Yeah. I think what's really helped me is being secure in myself and not caring what people think. And I think that's helped me because I'm not someone who requires approval.
Yeah.
I'm actually okay with being alone.
Right.
I'm not dependent.
Right.
I'm not clingy.
Yeah.
But I think that became with being secure within myself.
Yeah, I was going to say like, where do you feel like that came from? And like, honestly, even your journey of becoming like secure within yourself, like what did that even look like for you? Because I'm not there yet. Like I'm 100% not there. I'll be very loud and proud.
No, I know. But I think for me, a big thing was obviously weight loss. Like I think that makes a big difference in how you feel and how you act and all of those things. And then just finding ways to just, I don't know, like not letting those things trigger me. And I can't explain like a moment of like when that's because you've known me since I was 20. So I don't think you can pinpoint like a moment either.
Yeah. To be honest, I feel like when you did lose weight, and this is not like, nobody come at me, but this is not like, I'm not advocating that like you need to be a certain size to be secure within yourself. Like I am very much a believer in that it is an attitude and it's more inner work than anything. But I think what it did for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you losing weight proved yourself to yourself. I think like there was this change in you where you're just like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like I can lose weight. I can commit to something and have a goal. And I achieved it. And also I think it was one of those things, and again, I could be wrong, but it was also like, even for like your family or anybody, or even for men of like, okay, like I'm no longer overweight. Like now what? Like now what do you have to say about me? Mm-hmm. And so then I don't know, maybe it also triggered you of just like, yeah, you know what? Like respectfully, like fuck you. Like, you know what I mean?
No, it does. But I think it goes hand in hand. Like when you're not feeling good at where you are physically and all of that, then that affects emotional.
Oh, 100%.
So when I started feeling good physically, then emotional also started feeling better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they kind of go together. So
no, totally.
I think for me, the physical really helped me be secure in myself and then not want to take bullshit or anything. It just...
Yeah, because you just look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I worked hard for that.
That is a big thing too. That is a mental challenge.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it 100%
no one can tell me it's not.
Right.
You know?
And I think, but that's what I think even helps to that is like mentally you grow tougher, right?
100%.
Because it takes,
takes work.
It takes work. And like that quote that we always use is that the mind quits before the body.
Yeah.
And so, but I do think that there is, it's training, right? It's training your mind. And so if you do continue to exercise and work that part of your brain that is saying, and the emotional connection of like, no, I can do this. I am stronger.
Yeah. It's all, I think it's a level of self-control. It's a level of willpower. It's a level, all of those things strengthen through the process because of what you go through.
No, totally. I agree.
It's not a walk in the park.
Oh God, no.
So then otherwise everybody would be fucking fit.
Yeah. No, if it was easy, right, then everyone would do it.
It's hard.
No, it is hard.
I think that for me, that's what I think really.
Yeah. I feel like that
helps.
if I could try to pinpoint a change, I feel like that would be it.
Yeah. Cause I think it became for me where it's like, well, I fucking know I'm great.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude.
Yeah. It's also just like, why would I care? Like if I wouldn't take advice from this person, what do I care about your criticism?
Yeah.
As well, so you're just kind of like, I don't know. It changes. It changes.
And I don't want to like anybody at me on this. Losing weight changes how you act.
Oh, it very much does. It very much does. And I will say though, like there are people that can speak to like, I lost weight, but I was still incredibly insecure.
Yeah, you saw body dysmorphia and all those things. 100%. That does exist.
Those are very real.
Yeah.
And also I feel like it's a little bit sometimes prevalent in people who are like overweight for an extended period of time. Like not to discount you or anything, but like for myself, like I'm 38, like I'm going to be 38, like for for all of my adult life and my life in general, I've been overweight. So there are things that like, I think again, like neurologically primed, like there's a neurological rut that like I'm just kind of stuck in, and it does take a lot of work to get out of it.
I totally understand that.
Because like, you're just like, you've just been stuck in it for so long. What about you, Urooj? Do you feel like your attachment styles have like changed from when you like maybe were first dating or when you were younger or like whatever?
Definitely. I think at first it was like, you're learning love, you're learning relationships for the first time. So you don't know how to navigate any of that, right? You just kind of bounce off their energies, and, it's two people coming together and just kind of like creating this bond. And then, I think at first I was a little bit avoidant because, I don't know, you grow up in these households where sometimes it's like, our family, like my parents, like we don't say like I love you to each other. Like Pakistani families, I don't know. It's just like this thing. It's like you don't go there,
Yeah,
that's so funny.
The
you
love
say
is
that.
shown in different ways. So I was like, ew, like I was scared of that term, like that I love you. I thought it was like a forbidden, like I don't even know. Like I just didn't know what it was, right? Because it's like you don't grow up hearing it. You don't grow up giving it. Yeah, we would give each other hugs and all that type of like affection, and a lot of my brown friends agree with me. They're like, yeah, in hindsight, looking back, it was like we were just taught to be scared of our dad. And then like, we would just talk to our moms to a certain extent about things. So like that was my childhood, right? So when I first started exploring relationships and all that, I was like, what even is love? Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, how do you,
And your
I knew how to
parents were
show
arranged?
affection, but they were.
Yeah. So then that's even,
exactly.
That's even more, because that does impact is the
relationship they have.
The relationship, the marriage that you watch and the relationship you watch between your parents.
Yeah, because it's more of like a situationship becoming a long-term marriage, right?
Yeah.
Because so my dad was, I think my mom was like 19 when she got married to my dad, and he's 5 years older than her, 5 or 6. And like, her experience of moving as a 19-year-old from her country that she like knew all her friends were there, all of her family was there, didn't know a single soul in America, and she's here, you know what I mean? So it's like their like bond and relationship and growth and everything here was completely different than ours. Like we're like self-made women, our parents were able to like put us through school and, get the education that we needed and wanted. And like that was like enforced in my household was like, just don't be a bum, focus on your education.
Yeah.
Don't come home past like 12, 11, 12, like just be a good kid.
Right.
Then like keep the respect level of our family at a certain level,
Right.
In the community and things like that. But I think my turning point was, so I started out avoidant, And then I fell in love for the first time, right? And I was just very happy and secure, and there was butterflies and there was all these things flying around. And then like, eventually that came to an end. And then I think after that, I became like secure because, you spend time with yourself and you really understand like what you need out of a relationship or what you will tolerate, won't tolerate. So then I became very secure. And also at that point in my life, I was working a full-time job. I was going to school for my master's full-time. So my life was on an uphill trajectory. And I was just like, I had this close friends group that I would hang out with every weekend. Yeah. And so it was nice. It was a very stable, happy, like consistent life.
Right.
And then there was a relationship that like, the guy was very like, I would say in the beginning he was a little avoidant, but then, once they catch feelings, they become anxious.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even take a nap for 2 hours without getting my texts blown up.
Hey, how are you? What are you doing?
I've never experienced that.
Yeah, I mean, I've never
like it was a lot. There was a lot of stuff going on. But that was the first time I experienced an anxious style of attachment, and I knew nothing about like. I never read books back then. I didn't know anything about.
Did
like
it not make you like
styles.
find him feminine?
Yeah,
I did, but then at the same time, for some reason, a part of me found it endearing because I'm like, he's always like
so into
chasing
me.
after me. He's obsessed with me.
I could see how that.
He's like showing up for me, and like other guys were all like we're in that F-boy phase, right?
True,
so other men compared
we're not
to
giving
him,
you the attention
in my
he was
head,
giving you.
We're like running around playing all these girls left and right, and I'm like, he's so stuck on me and only me. You know what I mean? But I mean, we had other issues, obviously, but yeah, that was my first time experiencing that, and then I became that towards him. Like it's just like you're getting that energy. It's like it just fills up inside of you, and you're just like now you're projecting the same thing. Like you're meeting each other where like you're meeting your partner where they meet you, kind of thing, right? So. Two crazy anxious people, like what's happening? It's just never gonna work because no one's seeing things how they should be seen.
Right.
And unless you have like a therapist in there trying to help you through like all of your issues and his issues.
That sounds like a disaster.
We both had different childhood like
traumas.
Yeah, exactly. And like, now looking back, like I could figure out what his were, and I'm sure he could figure out what mine were. And yeah, that one was like the first like toxic, and that's what happens is when two anxious people come together, it's toxic. It literally blows up in flames.
But I think that's the same with two avoidant people, or even with an anxious and an avoidant.
So. I think avoidant kind of just ghost each other. They just end up like
true. Okay, fine. Maybe I'll give you that, but I think also anxious and avoidant is also toxic. There's a lot of push and pull.
Yeah, because the anxious partner
it's hot and cold,
demanding that attention. They keep wanting that attention and that vulnerability.
I don't think that's more toxic than anxious and anxious because it's anxious. Like you guys just want each other, like clinginess. The other one's like two opposites, so it's like.
Well, I feel like for myself, I feel like I'm hesitant to use the word toxic because I don't think it's necessarily toxic. It's just like it's a lack of communication and it's a lack of understanding yourself. So there's going to be issues that come up and that are going to leave you devastated. Like it's going to leave both partners devastated. I feel like toxic maybe comes in when you're dealing with like a narcissistic person or somebody who's emotionally abusive, things of that nature. Like, but I mean, there's still going to be a clash, but it's emotionally like a wreckage, basically. Like I could see like avoidant, like they're just like, well, I never said anything and he never did.
True.
So, what's funny is like the opposite also happens. So I've seen an anxious person just get like, when they try so much and they're like, okay, they get to a point where they just stop. And then something happens. Somebody says something to them. Somebody gets in their ear. And they become a narcissist. They're like, you know what? Yeah. Bitch, like I can get whoever I want, and then they start.
But I feel like that lasts
and
for like a second and then it goes away like the next day. Like that hype lasts for like a second when you're around that person, and then when you're by yourself, you're like, oh.
Well, some could make the argument that is avoidant. because you're not.
She's like an anxious personality type.
Right, but that's the thing.
But
it's like anxious, and then you get to a level where part of your anxiety is I'm not going to face this, right? So,
or it's kind of like a defense mechanism, right?
Exactly, so it's a defense mechanism. I mean, I've gotten that way. I can't tell you how many times within the point of the situation that I was in where I would literally just be like, you know what, fuck that guy. I don't even care.
But the point is it's temporary.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
The next day you're like, oh, yeah, it's always temporary.
It's always temporary because again, I'm having to do, I think it's a defense mechanism. And I also would go as far as saying it's a self-soothing mechanism. You are so
trying to calm yourself.
You're trying to calm yourself and you're trying to get yourself out of a headspace and out of a feeling that you'll do anything. Like you'll tell yourself anything, you'll say anything. And part of that is, you know what, I never liked him anyway.
Until the next day when you're like,
the next day,
where is he?
The next day, like your phone's ringing, you're like, it could be him, you know, like running across your room to go check your phone. Yeah. But it's a way of avoiding your problems or trying to get you, like,
I think it's more self-soothing.
For me, it was self-soothing. For me, I know from my experience, it would be from a perspective of like, I hate feeling this way. I need to get out of it. And the only way that I can get out of it.
We talk about this all the time. It's like sometimes the way I get over them is by talking shit on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I find all the icks. I find all the things. I'm like, why did I even like you?
100%.
I feel like nowadays there's so many icks. Everybody just gets the ick from anything.
It's true. It's true.
I will say though, ladies, my sandals clip is on my Hinge profile. It's a good one. It gets a lot of responses because the guys are just like, I had a guy the other day because I don't use the app anymore, but I still have it. And it was a guy that like it's on pause, but I still have it, that I messaged a long time ago. And we were messaged a long time. We never met up. Yeah. And he messaged me. He's like, I was sitting this morning and I thought about your sandal clip and I started laughing out of nowhere. I was like, wow.
No, it is. It's a good clip.
Put the icks on there.
Yeah, put the icks on there.
It gets them a good ick though.
Yeah, it gets them going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like you guys, since like maybe sort of recognizing and kind of understanding like your progression, like is this something now you look for in partners? You try to kind of identify what they are and who they are?
I think I've just learned what I need, which is like, I can't with the avoidant. Like that turns me off so quick. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, really? Bye. You know, because that to me also comes off as immaturity. Totally, and then I think that like you want to be with a secure person, but like not the anxious that like drives them nuts and makes them like psychotic after you, but like a little bit of clinginess means like,
is good.
You know, showing affection and showing like, you're important to me, and like just letting know, like, you know, simple text saying like, hey, like I'm busy with blah, 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 but I'll text you back in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Like we know every guy is always on their phone 24/7.
Totally. Or just being open and able to talk about things. Yeah. And not wanting to avoid problems that are going on between us and how you're feeling. Having that open communication about your emotions. Like that's a really big one.
And it's like, you know, a lot of men do have to go through therapy to get to that point where they can actually openly talk about things, like have those hard conversations with women, because they're conditioned to like in their 20s, especially. That's why they like so many relationships break off in that like time period, is because they don't know how to like have those conversations. So they just run from them. They avoid them.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah. Again, everyone knows I'm such an advocate for therapy. But it's funny. I feel like I don't necessarily like look for like attachment style, but it's also paying attention to those things. And what I really like is some of these psychologists and therapists that I follow on Insta. They talk about how like caring is sexy. Like
it is.
Yeah.
Like hot. Ambivalence or indifference is so fucking hot. Like stupid. Like caring is hot. Like showing that you care and being interested is so attractive. And like we need to stop with this like cool person mentality of like, oh, I don't care. It's like, no, you should care. Like you should care who you're talking to, or like you want to show them that you care, because it's this whole like push pull and like like we've even talked about this, Sana, like how you're just like, well, maybe I think now they know how much I care.
Yeah.
You know, because you're like, damn it. Like,
well, because from past experiences, I feel like when guys find out how much you care, they start to act differently. They switch up real quick.
Right.
And I think that's why everybody is, as a female, I guess males too are the same way, afraid to show that you care because people tend to like take advantage of that.
No, it's true. I 100% agree with that.
But I agree with you. It is sexy. Caring is sexy.
Yeah, but that's what I love is that it's now more of like a more talked about, situation where it's like it's fine to care. Because the thing is, if someone's going to disregard that or someone's going to treat that again in just such a casual manner, fuck that person.
Yeah.
Like then you can walk away and you'd be like, absolutely not. Because I want someone to show that they care for me.
What do you always tell me when we talk about these things? You're like, if it wasn't going to happen now, it was still going to happen. So if like when you were talking about situations where you're like, well, why are you worried about that happening? Because it's still going to happen. Oh, so like in a sense, like if you show you care and they act that way about it didn't matter if you showed you care now or later.
It was always going to be. Like that was always going to come out at some point. Mm-hmm. It's just now. Which like you saved some time then, and you saved some of the caring for somebody who actually cares about you. But yeah, I just feel like another thing with attachment styles though, is I think also like you can try to determine maybe your partner or whatever, but I really think it's about communication and also in the early stages, like don't get so hung up on that. But just, I saw a post that said, instead of trying to analyze the behaviors, just ask yourself if you like that behavior or not. That's it.
Simple.
Because it has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you.
Yeah, and we love to analyze.
We love to overanalyze.
Oh God, that's a great thing. Keeping it just
keeping it like, I don't care why you're doing this. I don't care why you're not talking to me. I don't care why you didn't call me or didn't check in on me or whatever. I don't like the behavior. That's just it. Yeah. I'm not here to be your analyst. I'm not here to be your therapist. You should go to therapy and try to figure that out, but I'm not going to do that. Yep. All I know is I don't like the behavior. So I feel like that's something that people do need to keep in mind when they're in the dating realm of attachment styles. You don't have to break down every single behavior to a style, but like, that's anxious avoidant. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like fearful avoidant. I see it. Like it's okay. Like you can maybe recognize some things, but just really pay more attention to, do I like this behavior or not? That's just simply it. And then move forward from there. But again, communication.
Caring is cool.
Caring is cool.
Love that. It is cool.
No, but it is. And we're so raised.
Being vulnerable is cool.
Yes, being vulnerable is sexy. It's hot. Caring is sexy. Like all of that is like showing that you're actually interested in somebody is very attractive. It's very hot. And it's scary to be vulnerable and it's scary to put that out there because there will be people that take advantage of it.
Yeah. What was the thing I'd rather have loved than lost?
Yeah. Than never have loved at all.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's just like, but at least you know that you're operating honestly, that you're kind of putting it out there. I'm not saying you need to go like all in, within like the first like month or something of dating, but telling somebody that you care. Because I think you can speak to this, Anna, like coming from a situation where it was like pulling teeth to talk about emotions or situations to now somebody that you're seeing is like so open to just talking about things and letting you know, is he calling you? And just being honest about their feelings. Like what a night and day difference that is.
Huge night and day difference.
Emotional maturity.
Yes. Emotional maturity. And
we've talked about this many times where I've been like, one of the biggest things that draws me to him is the emotional maturity, the vulnerability, the open to talking about anything. Like any tips I have, anything, let's talk about it versus being like, why are you acting like this or whatever? No, let's break it down.
Or getting defensive.
That's
the worst.
He's really good at de-escalating.
Yeah.
And that is hard to find because I went from a whole different situation where he didn't want to talk about anything.
Yeah.
And then I would bring up things and his response would be, okay. 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 And I would just get more pissed. I'm like, what the hell do you mean okay?
Okay, what?
You want to
Okay,
see
what?
you want to see two ways to send a woman shooting through the roof is A, tell her to relax or calm down. And then second, when she's pouring her heart out to you and your response is okay, or all right. Or like,
no
sure.
response.
Or when,
or
yeah,
no
exactly.
response.
When you're complaining, no response. When you're complaining or addressing situations you're feeling.
Yes.
And trying to talk about it.
Yes.
And instead of giving a solution or giving their part or adding anything to it, they just say okay like a child.
Yes.
Like,
like that,
so
like that
trash.
shitty little piece of shit teenager that's like, okay.
Just
And you're
like that.
Oh my God, I'm going to fucking
I'm like, I'm
murder
literally
you right
telling you
now.
how I'm feeling. I'm literally telling you what's making me sad, all these things, and how you are a part of this.
Yes.
And all you can say is okay.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of brings it to like the kind of like one of like our closing points is like developing secure attachment. And part of that is emotional maturity, being vulnerable, showing that you care, being able to have a conversation about your feelings. And that's why like it is, I will say like I always encourage people to go to therapy because a lot of times you're not encouraged that way in childhood. And this comes from adolescence. It doesn't mean that anything was wrong. To be honest, you know, your parents fucked up. Your parents goofed, you know, and it's not their fault, but
that's what they knew.
Yeah, because that was from their generation, right? So they didn't know any better either. But you know, that's part of creating a secure attachment is saying, I want to talk about this. Let's have a conversation. And, you know, one that is solution focused, right? Like not like, let's harp on what you did wrong and what then I did wrong or right or whatever. But yeah, and I think that's a clear cut way to kind of get your answer of what this person is without having to really ask is if you are trying to create a secure attachment with each other and their answer is okay.
Yeah.
Or, sure. You know, or they like thumbs up the message. And it's super intense. Well, we have to wrap it up a little bit because we have to, I don't know if it's cut short or not, but some of us were late to recording.
And I want to say it's not me or Urooj.
And it was not Sana or Urooj.
But, you know, if you are struggling with this, I mean, as Jackie always says, therapy is a great way if you're dealing with any of these attachment styles. Mine is secure. Yeah. And then the one we didn't talk about is a mixture of both of them.
Yeah, a mixture of both of them.
Though fearful is a mixture of both of them.
Yeah, fearful is a mixture. There's this, you can be there, but then the moment that it maybe gets too real, you pull back.
Yeah.
But you still are dealing with those needs for attention or validation. And so then you go back. So again, it's a mixture. But 100% if, okay, of course, therapy, but like books. Like you're reading a book.
Books.
What's the book called again?
It's called Attached by Amira Levine.
I think it's also figuring out where you fall.
Yeah, just where you fall and like, because that's going to help you move towards the secure attachment.
Yeah, it's going to help you and improve your dating habits and your dating life.
Totally.
And even your marriage or relationship.
Your friendships. Where you are professionally, how you function with people. Like, it's not solely just like you have to be screwed up or you've had to have gone through something crazy within a romantic relationship. Like, this transcends all types of relationships. So,
and it doesn't excuse behavior, but it also like helps you understand.
Yes.
Where they're coming from.
Yes, that's
why
another
they're
thing.
like that.
Yeah, is like not using attachment theory to excuse behavior from yourself or from others, but helping you. That's such a great point, Urooj, to get to okay. Let me understand why is this happening? Totally. Well, we hope you all enjoyed it. Attachment theory.
Attach.
Yeah, let us know your attachment style. Drop it down.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear all of you say secure because that's bullshit.
That's bullshit. Yeah. We all know you're not.
Yeah.
Or all three.
If you had a childhood, you're not secure. I'm just going to put that out there.
Okay.
There's something. There's something insecure about you. No, but we would love to know your thoughts, questions, comments, anything. Because I think this is such a fascinating subject and topic, and I feel like you could go in every which way direction. But anyway, thank you, Urooj, for being on, friend of the pod. We love it.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see her again.
We'll see her again. I mean, she's in my house.
Yeah, well,
basically. So, unfortunately, she followed me. Unfortunately,
she followed you where you were.
Sana, what are you doing? Come over.
Come over. Be my friend. All right, gang. Bye.